What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta here in the Coach's Corner. We just rewinding the clock because Pasadena Volleyball, the Eagles did something special this season. We're here with Coach Carmen Martinez. She looks like she's a player, but she is the coach. Don't get it twisted. Coach, welcome. Talk about this season. Y'all go 31-18,
Yes, sir.
6-6 in district, and make the postseason. How did you flip this thing?
First of all, I think it's been a good amount of time that we have been working to get where we're at, right? People come in our gym a lot differently than they did years ago. And also we go into gyms with the expectation of being a little bit different versus the old, what we were known for before. My kids have really just invested a lot of time, just like in other programs, right? Other kids invest in their programs and so forth, but they're believing in the change. They're believing in this new culture and working hard. And once you've given them a little taste of success, kids want it again and again. With this group in particular, we were fairly young, but the main thing, and when I say fairly young, I mean like experience-wise, skill-wise. I told them, I said, now y'all have a different pressure, right? And I always tell them pressure's a privilege, for one, right? But I was like, you guys have a different pressure in the sense of now you don't want to be the group that didn't make playoffs, because two groups now prior to you made the playoffs. So it's a different type of pressure. Yes, we got fourth seed, but we were there. And so being a playoff contingency team and playing in that way, and going and beating some other great programs that are extremely talented, I think spoke volumes.
Well, okay, so then, just talking before this, okay, first of all, let's go back to this. What is your culture? Define your culture.
I think that's one thing that coaches have a hard time really trying to get right. You get like culture as in like what we eat and like your background as far as that, but our culture is like when we refer to culture, especially for coaches, right? We're talking about what is the program known for. Like when you leave a gym, regardless of a name being on your chest or not, how is that group going to get remembered? And what is expectation when a new group comes in, right? And do they know, like, they have this connection? And that is what becomes your culture. It's what's expected, the standard. It's what you live by. It's what you're known for. And I think for us, one of the things that we have started to actually really be known for is, number one, we play great defense. We're super scrappy, and people know that when they're going to play against us, you can't sleep on us, because we're not going to stop working. My kids just don't stop. And it's the same with my coaches. I'm very grateful that I've had a really great staff these last couple years. And they buy into all my crazy ideas and my visions. And, I can't get anywhere or have any type of success without my coaches, without my players investing, but also without parents really like allowing their children to soak in what I am trying to teach them. And I think that's, that becomes your culture, right? That is what it is. It's not just me. It's not just the kids. It's not just our coaches. It's like everyone. And they know like we're hardworking, right?
Talk about how cool it is because you played there.
I did.
I love to hear those stories. And it just means more. It sounds corny, but it just means more. What is it like to be coaching your alma mater?
Well, first of all, I think it's super special, and I feel as though it's a huge blessing for me. I feel very honored and blessed to be able to be in the position that I'm in, to be able to come back and give my community something in return. And it's kind of like I kind of see it like you're planting seeds, right? And even though I might not be able to give back monetary wise, this is the way I give back. I give back with sharing my knowledge of the game that meant something so much to me, right? And we all know that as coaches, when you're coaching a game, it's not really the game that you're coaching. You're trying to teach and trying to help impact lives and their futures. And so for me, that's the most important thing. Like I want people and students and just community members to know that what they're learning, what my kids are learning from being in my program, or as we continue on more of our programs on our campus, right? They're going to go off and be great leaders and have success stories outside of whatever sport they played. And so that's the most important thing for me. It just brings a different, honor. And I do sometimes take things a little bit more personal, right?
Yeah.
I guess that could be the sword with the double edge, because I'm like, they're not just talking about you, they're talking about me. You guys don't just represent yourselves, you represent me as well. So I think that kind of gives me a different type of motive and motivation, because I'm like, I'm all in this because I want you to succeed, because when you succeed, I succeed. Every time I tell my girls that we're able to make playoffs, right? From the first group all the way to this third group, I'm like, you guys don't realize, but every success that you have, the people before you get a little piece of that. And my alumni have done a really good job of, they show up or they provide like snacks or goodie bags, or just like, hey, good luck, right? But they do that because they're still connected. They feel as though even though this is not them, this is still their piece of their success. And I love that. I think that's awesome for them to do.
So are you the original OG with what your shirt says? You
our
are.
our athletic director, David Zapian, got us these, and I was like, oh, it seems fitting for today. Let me wear it. So
Yes.
we are the OGs.
I love it. All right. And another storyline to this, your success and, teaching life lessons. You're also teaching life lessons to a sophomore in your program that's watching you also, which is your daughter.
Yes,
So, I mean,
yes.
how cool is that to be able to coach her as well and be with her, in this kind of critical time of her life?
Well, I will say it's definitely a special time, right? If you have any coaches that have had the opportunity to coach their own children, they'll tell you probably towards the end when they're done, they probably tell you it was the best time of their life. But during the time of going through it, it is really hard. It's very challenging, but it's rewarding. And so we have a great understanding of whenever we're in the gym or we're at school, I'm coach, right? And she's so funny because, and I do love this about her. She's very comfortable in her own skin and has really owned the fact that like I am her mom, right? So she'll like coach mommy, coach mom, mom,
Yeah.
And so, um, that's pretty cool. But there are some challenging times, but again, very rewarding. She is held to very high expectations, but all my kids are, and so it's funny because people never know which one's my daughter, like in reality, because I treat them all like they're all my kids. They're all my athletes. They get in trouble the same way. The only difference is I can touch one's circumstances physically and I can't touch other people's
Right.
circumstances, right?
Yeah.
But she gets it. And I think that one of the things that I love that we talked about this year in particular was sometimes, because she is a gym rat, because she is a coach's kid, she does have a lot of knowledge of the game, right? But we had a moment this year where we really talked about it, and I was like, she's a mesh of all my kids before her. And it's pretty cool to see that she has taken some of the strengths of all the players that I have had in the last 13 years that I have been there. And she has made them into like who this little person is, right? Like I remember I had one kid, her name was Kat Tellez, graduated a few years ago. She was part of my first group. She was so fast, right? And my daughter met her like, when she was probably 8. And so my daughter wanted to go out there in the relays whenever we would have like summer workouts or just different things. And she wanted to race her. And her dream was to be fast like her, right? So she's taken that from her. And then I had a setter, Loreli Partida, who was one of my first kids to make first team all district whenever I became the head coach. And she does certain like her dumps are a lot of like how she played, you know? So I tell my kids stuff like that. Like, yeah, she's my daughter, and yes, she may have more knowledge because of her circumstances in the sense of she's a gym rat, but she shares. And I love seeing her fill that role. She got really lucky coming in her freshman year that the group of seniors that I had were just amazing human beings. Like they were just great natural leaders. And she was able to kind of step back and just kind of play, you know, didn't have to really fulfill like a leadership role, like a vocal leadership role. And this year her role changed. And she also knows that next year her role again will change. And so we pray a lot. We definitely have a lot of conversations, but all in all, I think that she has enjoyed this journey, and I know I have too. And it's been extremely it's been very unique. It has.
Right.
And I have a little one. That's my little one. He's already
Yes.
he his first crawl was actually in the gym. So
Well, he'll be the future. He will be the future. Um, what do you do? What do you do outside for fun? What do coaches do for fun?
So I have a very unique situation
Yeah.
in the sense of my husband actually was a pro basketball player. So we don't play basketball for fun. We don't do volleyball for fun.
Right.
um, we're very family oriented. We hang out a lot with our family. I think we do a lot of what a lot of people in Houston do, and we're foodies. We love to try different food, of course.
Right.
Um, and I read a lot. I tend to read tons of books that are going to help with like leadership and, you know, how I'm going to just develop and help my players. But all in all, I would say we do a lot of family time, eat a lot, which, you know, that kind of makes me have to make sure we're working out too.
Right. Right.
But I mean, that's really it. You know, we live in a gym all the time.
Yeah.
So, but we enjoy it. It's fun. Like I said, my son had his first crawl in the gym. He loves watching his sister play. So it's a good time.
That's very cool. Finally, who's been kind of your mentor? Who's been your kind of inspirations in the coaching world?
I'm very blessed that I have quite a few people that I can always reach out to. The person that was actually the head coach at Pasadena before I was the head coach, and I coached underneath her with I was a freshman coach first, and then I moved up to JV, was Lynn Perry. And the one thing that I appreciate from her was that, and I hope that if other head coaches are listening, they also do this with their sub-varsity coaches. She really gave me a say. She let me really help with skill and allowed me to go and get better as a coach, but she used my strength. You know, whatever it was that she felt like I was strong in, she was like, okay, this is yours. You get to be in charge of this. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do the same with my coaches. And I know that especially coaching high school, and if you're on the female side of coaching high school, I know that sometimes it can get a little tough whenever you have sub-varsity coaches because not all sub-varsity coaches know your sport, right? So then how do you bring out the strength in them? So you don't have to look at it necessarily like, oh, they know volleyball. And actually it's sometimes better if they don't, because they look at volleyball different. Because I look at it in a defensive side, somebody might look at it on an offensive side, and they look at it as a whole. And so she was a very good mentor for me. And then Dawn Sexton, who's actually at Dobie High School, who's in my district, she's a great mentor for me as well. I can call her. We're actually going to be hosting a tournament together, which I'm excited about. And then I have the club coaches that I work with that I'm always, they're like, hey, I'm a phone call away if you ever need anything. I know like Christian Dunn, he's helped me a few times with some questions that I have. Sarah Aguilar, which she's at Summer Creek, and I'm like, okay, Sarah, this is getting tough because I end up seeing you. I end up seeing you first round of playoffs, and we can't like this is, this is tough. But I do love that about the volleyball coaching world in the sense of we're willing to help each other. And I think we kind of all get the fact that by helping each other, you're also helping your competition, which in reality is going to help you even more because if someone's getting better and you're playing against them, that means tougher competition. That means a challenge. That means your players are getting better as well.
Well said.
Yes.
Well, Coach, hey man, we're super excited what you're doing over there at Pasadena. It's going to be interesting, like we were talking earlier about y'all moving to potentially going to 5A, or you're going to 5A.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to open up some more doors also. So, hey, we're looking forward to see what happens next year.
Yes, sir.
This is Matt with VYPE. We will catch y'all at the games. Coach Martinez
Yes,
of
sir.
Pasadena signing off. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.